It's a great pleasure to be here. My name is Andrew Chong, and I'm the CFO at Burrito Wallet. Burrito Wallet is the first Korean travel rule compliant non-custodial Web3 wallet, and we will be launching by the end of this month. So, as a subsidiary of Bithumb, we're going to be automatically linked and whitelisted with the exchange by default. So that means that Bithumb users that have our wallet will be able to get automatically whitelisted and won't have to go through the process of whitelisting and KYC to access the Web3. So before talking about the Korean market, I'd like to first point out that Korea fell behind the trend of Web3 and DeFi adoption, mainly because it was the first country to implement the travel rules. So during 2020 and 2022, that's the time when the travel rule implementation came up. And so, and also the strict capital controls, as well as the perceived lack of user friendliness from leading Web3 wallets, also caused a little bit of the slowdown in the adoption. So, why the partnership with 1inch? Now that we have the gates, opened the gates for Web3 adoption, it made the most sense to bring in a world-class aggregator and place it as a default in our swap so that users can navigate decentralized exchanges and find the most optimal value. So moving on into Korea, we're the second largest crypto market in Asia. In terms of total trading volume, is about $225 billion. In terms of BTC trading volume, BTC fiat pair trading volume, we account for almost 9% of the total BTC traded volume globally. And despite the bear market in 2022, there's still a lot of interest in cryptocurrencies as well as crypto projects. So the number of listed assets went up by almost 10% during the first half of 2022. And the number of traders with real name bank accounts went up by almost 24%. Also, in terms of listed projects by sector, P2E projects as well as DeFi projects were the ones that had the most popularity during listings, even more than Layer 1 and Layer 2 projects. And in terms of trading volume, obviously Layer 1, because of Bitcoin and all of the main altcoins, still have the most trading volume. But P2E as well as DeFi have been going up, especially DeFi projects. They are currently ranking third in terms of trading volume. So, because the government has been very supportive about blockchain adoption in Korea, a lot of the main industries are interested in adoption. So, the main ones are leisure and entertainment. A lot of these entertainment companies are coming up with K-pop theme NFTs as well as other forms of IP NFTs. And now that Korea is going to implement STOs, the financial sector is extremely interested in the blockchain, and there's actually a lot of push from the major financial brokerages to adopt the blockchain. So Koreans were the second largest victims of the FTX collapse after Americans. We had about 300,000 users that lost all of their funds during the downfall of FTX. And this actually caused a lot of crypto holders to find interest in decentralized exchanges. And so for this reason, Clip, which is Clayton's Web3 wallet, managed to gain 1 million users by the end of last year. In terms of interest in DeFi, there's a lot of interest. When 1inch got listed in Korean exchanges, it went up by 5.6 times. Unfortunately, because of the travel rule implementation, they never got to test the aggregator and see how powerful it was. And so because of that, there's still low DeFi penetration in Korea. Out of our total trading volume, still DeFi trading volume is only 15%. But now that we have the gates open to the Web3 and DeFi indexes, we expect significant growth in DeFi trading. We do think we're going to match or even surpass our peers in Asia. And so for this reason, it made the most sense to partner up with 1inch and expose Korean users to be able to find the best pricing in decentralized exchanges and with the most optimal pricing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Wow. Look at the Korean market. It's so big. And I think Asia overall is even more. But we have Samuel here on stage with us. Samuel, would you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Yeah, hi, my name is Samuel Yim. I am part of the 1inch team. I hold two hats. My original hat is I'm the Deputy General Counsel of the 1inch. And recently I'm the new head of Asia for 1inch, spearheading the growth and expansion in Asia. So the question is, why Asia, right? You saw some of the statistics that Andrew showed. But, in our view, we see a tectonic shift towards the Asian market. In year 2000, Asia only represented a third of the global GDP. And McKinsey study stated that by 2040, Asia will represent more than 50% of the global GDP and 40% of the global consumption. So the question is now, how quickly will Asia rise? That's not the question anymore. The question is, how will Asia lead in the future in terms of technology? And so, Korea, Japan, China, we see a lot of tremendous possibilities and growth. And we think that Asia is going to be spearheading the technological revolution in blockchain as we see it now.
Thank you, Samuel. Could you also maybe share for the audience how is 1inch working together with Burrito Wallet? Like, where do your synergies lies? Because we've heard about the partnership, but how do you work together?
So, if you didn't know, Burrito's parent company is Bithumb. Bithumb's one of the original crypto exchanges in Korea. It is a leading exchange. And, obviously we want to partner with a leading exchange in the 1inch, API integration. Part of, we want to make sure that we have good partners, and they were definitely one of the first innovative. They were one of the first that actually want to go from the Web 2 centralized world to Web 3. And their team, reached out to us, and then we started continuing our partnership together. Yeah.
Andrew, maybe you could tell us about the Asian market and your perspective.
It's to follow up on what Sam was saying. There's a lot of push from the Korean government, and also a lot of other Asian governments are pushing into blockchain adoption. And the one sector that I'm seeing a lot of progress in, a really great strategy is the gaming industry. So, if you look at all of the gaming companies in Korea, the major ones, are actually pushing for adoption of their NFT games. Their strategy is basically with their already existing Web 2 games, they're creating extensions of the NFT-based extensions. So in that way, they kind of figure out that they're giving users the chance to get their investment. The money that they invested on the game back. If they ever decide to churn out. Also, it makes a lot of sense for a lot of these game companies because, they don't have to pay the fees for, Google App Store or, credit card companies. So this is additional revenue that they can actually take by themselves. So it makes a lot of sense for the game developers as well as the users.
Thank you, Andrew. Could you maybe also elaborate which regions in Asia the project should be looking at? Like you gave a great example of South Korea, but is there anything else?
Well, we're seeing a lot of adoption in, again, P2E games in Vietnam, as well as Philippines and Indonesia. These are markets that have been traditionally very active in the Web2 gaming, especially internet games that are MMORPGs and first-person shooters. And so we're seeing a lot of these gaming companies, established ones that already have a proven portfolio coming up into with their blockchain version of the games.
And Sam, maybe you know some secret regions that the project should dig into.
Well, my thesis is that I think with one-inch technology, we need to go to areas where there's a strong internet infrastructure, educated mass a little bit, because the technology is not simple enough yet for my mom to use the technology. Eventually, we'll get there. And so I think the growth areas that we see right now in Asia is, with South Korea, Japan. We can't ignore China because China is still a large, but we think that there's a possibility that we could reach to Chinese audience through Hong Kong, Taipei. We think those are going to be the core centers, and then from there we'll, leverage out to other Southeast Asian countries. And so we think that, and for those who didn't know, One Inch has the name itself has an Asian connection.
That's true.
In case you didn't know, One Inch is named after Bruce Lee's One-Inch Punch. You guys knew that? No? So when I first joined One Inch, I thought this was a Chinese project, but then I realized it's not a Chinese project. The co-founder is German. I was like, what's going on here? But that's the natural connection that we have. We think that the One Inch brand will resonate with the Asian audience, and we think there's a lot of growth.
Another thing that I would like to add up is, culturally speaking, Westerners tend to be more individualistic. Asians, we tend to be more collective. And so usually whenever a trend takes off, if it really takes off, everyone goes for it. And I think that's what we've noticed with cryptocurrencies in the centralized, in CeFi. So we foresee something similar with the DeFi space.
So let's talk about the downfall a little bit. So the ongoing bear market has definitely hurt sentiment, the FTX collapse, Terra Luna. Has this had any effect on your clients at Burrito Wallets?
Well, we still haven't launched, but we've seen a major drop in trading volume at Bithumb. That's mostly because a lot of the crypto holders are just holding and not selling or trading. These are the times in which, instead of focusing on the hype, these are the times in which developers as well as ourselves as wallets should focus on promoting projects that have good fundamentals, that provide value to the users in terms of entertainment, in terms of convenience. And so, those are the projects that we're looking into hosting into our wallet. Our wallet is going to have a feature in which these decentralized applications can promote, their application through airdrops, and then at the same time, it has banners. So, let's say if it's a foreign, a non-Korean decentralized application, we can write banners in Korean as well as send promotions and instructions in Korean to our users, so that they can try it out and become frequent users.
Thank you, Andrew. Sam, could you share with us what happened to One Inch during the crash days?
So, the good, I guess, if there's a silver lining in the FTX crash, there was a strong growth, DeFi wallet downloads. During the FTX crash, our daily trading volume, check this out, 1.5 to 2.2 billion per day, right? That's where it's going. And so we expect that to continue on. It's only an uphill, we see a trend upwards. And we think that Koreans will do well. They're very technologically savvy. And once they see arbitrage opportunities between the DeFi and centralized exchanges, we think that there's going to be a lot of growth in Burrito Wallet, 1inch usage. And at the same time, our view is that centralized exchanges and DeFi platforms can coexist because the centralized exchanges provide the fiat on-ramp, right? And some people like third-party custodians. And so we can't assume that everybody wants self-custody. That's just not the way the world works. There's got to be a diversity of usage, interfaces. And so we think that, Burrito's going to be, tremendously successful in South Korea.
Thank you, Sam. And since you're also general counsel, could you maybe talk to us about the regulation in Asia? And is it easy, for example, for projects to legally establish in South Korea?
So, we've done a legal survey on DeFi projects, especially 1inch and other DEXs. And so right now, the basis for any legal guidance for crypto projects is really the FATF guidance and the AML and KYC. But right now, the regulators have taken a hands-off approach. And so we think that this is probably the time to enter the market, build, and stuff like that. I think the regulation is going to come, but I don't think it's going to be like the centralized exchange model. It's still to be determined, so we're still in the gray area. But this is the time to grow. When it's in the gray area, this is the time to grow. And once you grow and become, strong, and you have a lot, that's when these projects can actually influence legislation, right? And shape it in the way that would be helpful to you. And so, we hope that Burrito Wallet will, be in that position in the future.
Yeah, Andrew, from your perspective, regulation.
Well, from my perspective, I think regulations are great. What we saw happening with 3AC Capital as well as FTX and Genesis. It really shows that there needs to be, some sort of regulation clarity so that, bad actors get punished, and at the same time, investors can feel safe that, they're putting their assets into platforms that are, regulated and at the same time supervised. So, in certain ways, I think, regulations in the regulatory clarity is, something that's very beneficial. In our case, thanks to the travel rule introduction, we were able to get clarity on how to proceed with the development of our wallet.
So the doors are open. Still a gray area, but grow first and then work it out. Could you share some of the tips for people here? Like they all have big projects or startups. Like what are the best practices when you enter the Asian markets?
Well, so you should definitely study the market before you get in. Study your audience. There's little details here and there that sometimes make things very confusing. For example, in Asia, if you see stocks in red color, stocks and cryptos in red color, that means they're going up. Whereas in the West, that means it's dumping. So these are the little details that you should pay attention to. But as a gateway into Korean users, we'll be more than happy to advise you and support you into gaining users through in Korea.
Sam, your best practices. What would you tell projects to do?
Asia's not a monolith. There's each country has its own unique, aspects. Rule number one: speak the local language, You wouldn't, I wouldn't expect to go to like France and then speak Chinese and expect to get business done there, right? So you shouldn't expect the same, as well. And there's little cultural nuances that you have to think about, right? So in, East Asia, it is rude to say no directly to your business partner. You usually say, that's a very good consideration. We would like to think about it and get back to you. But saying that no, the hard no is considered rude. And UI UX is very important. Like, if you didn't know, WhatsApp is popular in the Western world, but nobody uses WhatsApp in China, Korea, or Japan. China is WeChat, Korea is Kakao, Japan is Line. And so you have to understand the local nuances. Another example is that in Korea, Citibank, HSBC, Standard Chartered banks, all failures. All failures. Because they fail to localize to the local audience there. And so it is the customization that you have to think about that's critical for you to enter. And you have to, the key thing is when you enter the market in Asia, the Asian consumer needs to think or get the impression that that project is a local project. That's the key, right? So they can't tell that this is an international project. They need to feel that, oh, this is a Korean product or a Japanese product. That's one of the key elements to succeed in Asia.
So I'd like to add up, we're not, from a different planet. A lot of things, like we're also humans. And so, the things that in general, the things that, you guys like, we also like. Same thing goes with the music, the fashion, the trends. So just look into those little nuances. As Sam mentioned, companies that do not, that fail to adapt to the local market sometimes do not succeed that well. So for example, in the case of Google, it only has 30% of the search engine market, and the remaining is all Naver because, they fail to adapt to the local market. So just, pay attention to, the local nuances.